Hi, so in this video I'm going to talk you through a question on cumulative frequency. So here it is. It says the frequency table gives information about the lengths of time 100 people spent in a sweet shop. And here is the frequency table. So we've got the times in groups and the frequency along the side. And then it says on the grid, draw a cumulative frequency graph for your table. Now, a lot of students will get confused by this and they'll just start plotting the table as it stands. But what you've got to realise is that this is a cumulative frequency graph, and all we have here is the frequency, not the cumulative frequency. Now, if you think about the word cumulative, it sounds like accumulate, and what it means we do is we actually add up the frequencies as we go along. So the first group will remain the same as 6. The second group, for 20 to 40, is 10. But what cumulative frequency does is it says, right, well, what's the total frequency from 0 to 40? So in that case, then, what we do is we add up the 6 and the 10. So as I say, the first group will remain the same. The second group, we add together the 6 and the 10 to give us 16. Okay. Then we add on the next frequency of 26, and that gives us the total frequency from 0 to 60, okay, and that is 42. And then we add on the next group, which will give us the total frequency from 0 up to 80, and that's 82. And then we add on the 14, giving us a frequency from 0 to 100. Which is 96, and then we add on the last one, which is the 4, and that should add up, and that's always a good check, to the number that's stated at the beginning of the question. That should add up to 100, which it does, which tells us that 100 people spent between 0 minutes and 120 minutes in the sweet shop. Okay, so now it comes to plotting, and all we do is we plot the end of the group. Because it's cumulative frequency, we're saying what's the total frequency by the end of the group. So we plot the end of the group against the cumulative frequency. So for the first one, we're going to plot the 20 against 6, okay, and check your scale. So the scale is actually the same for both axes, but do make sure what the scale is for the question that you're doing in particular. And the x-axis will always be your groups, which in this case is time, all right, and your y-axis will always be some kind of frequency. In this case, obviously, it's cumulative frequency. So we're going to plot 20 against 6. So there's 20. Now on this side here, that is 10, halfway will be 10. And there are 5 squares, which means that every square is worth 2. So we need to go up 3 squares. So there is our first point. The next one, we're going to plot 40 for the time against 16 for the cumulative frequency. So there's 10 and every 2 squares again. So I want to go another 3 squares above where the 10 is to get me to 16. The next one, we're going to plot 60 against 42, so there's 60, there's 20, there's 40 and 42, again every 1 square is 2, so I'm just going to plot there. The next one is 80 against 82, so there's 80 for my time, there's 40, 60, 80 and 82 will be here. And then the next one, we're going to plot 100 against 96, so there's 100, goes up to 80, there's 90, there's 2, 4, 6, and the last one, 120 minutes, and we plot 100. Now, it's important that you then join it back to the beginning, and also this should be a nice smooth curve. Now, I find it easiest to just turn my page to make sure that my hand is in a comfortable position, and what I tend to do is I look at the point that I'm heading towards, and then my hand will naturally just go towards that, and just take it nice and slowly. It should be a nice smooth curve, There's no need to rush. You want it to be joined up nice and neatly. Move your page around as you do it. Okay, like so. And there you have your cumulative frequency curve. Okay, now the next part of the question, part B, tells you to use your graph to find an estimate for the number of people who spent longer than 85 minutes in the coffee shop. So we go to 85 minutes on our x-axis, which is our time. Here's 80, there's 90, so 85 is going to be in the middle. And then what you do, you get your ruler and you very carefully draw a line up here at 85 to meet your curve. You then draw a line horizontally where that meets the curve all the way across to your axis on the cumulative frequency axis. Now we need to read off what that number is, and I can see, okay, that this is 80, and I believe that is actually 86. Okay, so that number there is 86. Now it tells you to use your graph to find an estimate for the number of people who spent longer than 85 minutes in the coffee shop. Now 86 people spent between 0 and 85 minutes. So therefore, if I want the number of people who spent longer in the shop, I need to do the total number of people that was in the shop, which is 100. And I need to subtract 86 from that, okay, and I'm sure we can all do that in our heads. That leaves us with 14 people. Alright, now I would always advise that you write down your calculation. You must make sure that you draw on your line here so that you can see, so the examiner can see where you've read off your graph. Because then if you do make a mistake, this is worth 2 marks and you can get a mark here for your calculation. So it's really important, those two things, draw your line and show your working to get your answer. Okay.